Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back to my channel. It's me, KiaSimone. Let's get into this last episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville, where they are full of shit, okay? All right? I'm about tired of these people. Let's just get into it. Before we do, y'all know the drill. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you have not already. And, of course, I have to give a shout out to my super thanksters. Shout out to Carolyn Friesen, NP, Tyra Daniels, Tech Mama, and Tech Mama, because Tech Mama had her a super thanks party. And on Cash App, Deanna Jackson. Thank y'all so very much. Now, let's go ahead and get into this episode. So the episode opens up with Tiffany a day late and $1 short as usual, showing up to Madani. After all the melee, she comes bringing Destiny a lemonade, but we know she's here for the tea. She just conveniently missed the whole event. So they sit down to talk about what happened, and Tiffany is playing Barbara Walters and getting this exclusive interview from Destiny. Tiffany starts out asking her, what you been up to? She said, just working, mommying, living, nothing much. Tiffany said, well, what's been going on? We heard it was a Jerry Springer Live, and so I was just kind of wondering what happened. Destiny starts telling Tiffany about her first uninvited guest, Stormy, who came with her +2 flowers and Gucci. So when she tells her about how Stormy showed up with these flowers in a Gucci box because she wants to be Gucci, Tiffany said, and that's not a good friend. Destiny said, y'all throwing that friend word around real loose lately. No, I would say that it's a nice gesture. And no, just because somebody buys you an expensive item, it doesn't make them your friend. Tiffany said, well, she sent me a care package of flowers and hair care products as well. I mean, she didn't send me no Gucci, but I think she's trying to put effort into getting to know everybody. Destiny said, well, she did say that she would like for us to have a real conversation, but I'm really trying to work my way up to that. The only way I'm gonna be able to have a real conversation with her is if it's a real conversation. If it's not genuine, as soon as I smell some fake shit, I'm up out it. Destiny goes on to tell Tiffany about her next uninvited guest, Mel. She came in and didn't even speak to me. Tiffany said, so she showed up to your event and didn't speak to you? Destiny said, yeah. Now, she said she came in and spoke, but I didn't hear her. So obviously it wasn't good enough for me. She told Tiffany how they argued about her not speaking as Mel was leaving, and how Destiny told Mel that she should have had her escorted out like she had Tisha escorted out of her event. And then we see the footage of Mel calling for security. And Destiny is absolutely right. If Tisha got put out while she was on her job, Mel can get put out while she's on hers. Now, Tiffany done heard about this in the street, right? But she's playing dumb and trying to get the story out of Destiny. So she says, well, all right, well, Stormy showed up uninvited. Mel came and didn't speak. Girl, what else happened? Destiny tells her the backstory starting from Carlos's after show leading up to the present day baby daddy war that we're in. Tiffany says, well, why weren't they inside supporting you? I don't understand. Destiny said because it was about Mel and whoever Mel wanted to pop off with. Tiffany said, well, people said I needed to work on my timing, but it looks like I worked on mine. Nobody else worked on theirs. Don't tell us. Tell your friend. Go tell your friend. Destiny said, no, it ain't a timing issue. It's a give a damn issue, and they don't have any dams to give. They don't give a damn about me or my business or my event. That's the problem. And Tiffany made a good point. Tiffany said, well, you were no longer being invited to events. And then after you stopped being invited to events, we had the whole Galentine's thing that happened. And Destiny said, well, you know what? You're right. If I'm not invited to any of your events, why show up to my event in the name of support without even a congratulations in your hand? Tiffany said, well, do you think it's tarnished your shop's reputation at all? Destiny said, girl, I don't know, because it's too fresh. My shop reputation been going through hell anyway, child. I don't know. She said, what I do know is I got apologies from everybody except the one person who started all this shit. I know that. So we move on and we see Tisha pulling up to Kimmy and Maurice's house, where she's going to ask them to stage an intervention for Marsau, because Marsau is disrespectful in the way that he speaks to her, and she's tired of it. So we see Kimmy and Maurice sitting on their back porch talking about all 6 of them, all the Scotts and Holt getting together to have a resolution conversation, child. When Tisha walks in, and before she can deal with resolution with the group, she needs help with resolution inside her home. Well, Tisha comes in and Maurice asks her, well, where's Marsau? Tisha said, hell if I know. I'm just married to the man. How the hell I'm supposed to know where he at and what he doing? Tisha says in the confessional that all four of them are supposed to be getting together today, but she does not know if Marsau is going to show up because they had a very big fight the night before and they ain't really talking to each other like that. So Kimmy asked Tisha, has she and Marsau discussed what happened the day before at Madani? And she said, yeah, we got a chance to talk about it. And this fool got the nerve to be mad at me. Tisha said he's telling her when we're in that kind of a situation, you just need to be quiet and listen to me. And Tisha said, I'm asking him, who is you talking to? Tisha told Maurice, listen, I really wish you would talk to him about how he talks to me because I'm getting fed up. And Maurice is in the confessional saying, well, you know, we can talk to Marsau about how he talks to Tisha because her feelings are hurt. But talking to Marsau is like talking to yourself. So as she's telling them that she's about tired of Marsau, Marsau shows up. So Kimmy asked Marsau, have you been able to get over everything that happened the other day? Marsau says, well, his take is that the tension was building up for people who aren't going to fight their own battles. And that's why he and Martell were able to squash their beef so quickly because they don't seem to have an issue with each other. No, y'all clearly have a pact with each other. So here goes this caveman in the confessional about, you know, me and Martell were able to have a conversation after the fact like men do. And Marsau starts explaining that when he came outside and saw Wanda and Mel in each other's faces and they're going back and forth, he knew that neither of these people were going to back down. And when you have two people who aren't going to back down and tensions that are high, there are but so many words that can be thrown around before blows are thrown around. So Kimmy asked him, well, what's the fix? His response is, well, if Wanda can't control herself, then she can't be a part of my life. So wait a minute. Martell can launch an unprovoked, you grin you in attack on your marriage and tell you was laughing in the confessional, so I got something for you since you think it's funny when all my exposed and falling apart. How about you been with 20 women? Now you can forgive that and everything that came from that, but your mother-in-law, that's where you draw the line. And I'm trying to understand, how do we segue from what is the resolution to Wanda is the problem when Wanda was at an event that she was invited to, providing a service she was invited to provide, and she was ambushed by an uninvited guest who came with the sole intention to ambush her with chaos. How did we get here? So Marsau is in the confessional talking about how he doesn't want unnecessary recklessness to put his family in danger. And that was a real life situation with real life consequences. And one of them could have ended up in jail or in a hospital. And Marsau, have you gotten to a mirror yet? So Kimmy and Tisha go inside. Maurice and Marsau are sitting outside talking. And Marsau says, I'm not putting myself in that kind of situation again. See, you know, women don't understand. Wanda, Tisha, Mel, they don't understand the collateral damage of things. I'm so sick of Marsau. Maurice knew Marsau sounded like a chauvinistic jackass. He just sat right there. You can go straight to hell by yourself, Marsau. So inside the house, Kimmy and Tisha are talking about, well, you know, I think he views you and Mel getting into it as the potential for him to end up in jail. Well, why don't y'all go call Mel and tell her that? Kimmy goes, well, you know, I think we're all getting to a place where we don't know what to do because Wanda's your mama, and if she wasn't your mama, it would be a whole different conversation. I'm trying to figure out when, where, and how this became a crusade on Wanda. Are we supposed to pretend that this lady didn't crash somebody's event to go start this shit? Marsau says to Maurice that, you know, he takes her input with a lot of things, but when it comes to the few times that he's had to protect her in life, that's when he tells her he doesn't need her input at all. He needs her to be quiet and listen immediately. So Kimmy is saying, well, you know, he's probably in the biggest pickle of all of us because he adores you and he's your protector. Tisha said, yeah, I get that, but the conversation that we had was anything but. She said, we were talking about it, and he's telling me that in that kind of a situation, I don't have a voice. She said, that's not something you say to anybody. You don't tell somebody they don't have a voice. I don't know who in the Little Mermaid hell Marsau thinks he's playing with. He wouldn't have stood in my face and told me no bullshit like you don't have a voice. And Tisha's in the confessional, sounding like a child that is almost asking for the approval of her parents. She's saying, I understand that he's a protector and a provider, but I didn't feel like I was going to do anything in the moment. I mean, I wasn't going to fight anybody. I have too much to lose. I just need Marsau to back down and let me be me. Yeah, Marsau does not see Tisha as his partner. He sees her as his subordinate. Tisha is tearful when she's telling Kimmy that she felt really disrespected about the way that Marsau spoke to her. I guess Kimmy ain't had too many answers for her, shit. I don't speak up in my own marriage, so I don't know what to tell you, girl. So they go back outside with the guys, and Marsau don't want to talk about it no more. I'm ready to talk about boss business. I'm ready to get back to boss business. And he brings up that he and Martell have been discussing working on the Madani suites. And Maurice side eyes Tisha and said, Tisha, what you think about that? Because Maurice is not feeling Martell. Tisha said, well, I don't know. Honestly, I don't want to work with Martell, so I don't know where I would fit into this whole equation. When a person keeps showing you the same signs, at some point you got to believe it. Tisha said, I'm not comfortable working with Martell, but I guess Marsau is saying he's going to work with him regardless. Is that what you're saying? Marsau said, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not going to go against my household to work with someone who my wife and the president of the company is not interested in working with. So Maurice said, well, would y'all be willing to hire him for jobs here and there? Marsau said, hiring an unlicensed contractor is not something we do. See, Marsau, this is exactly what got Martell on your ass with them 20 women's the last time. You better leave him alone with his no license. That man around there trying out to be the next house husband of Atlanta, just leave him alone. Speaking of Martell auditioning to be the next house husband, we see him stop by Mel's house. So he stops by and they go sit in her backyard to talk. And she says, I appreciate you coming by. And, with everything that went on yesterday, I appreciate you then too. She looked at him like, I'm trying to figure out if you done figured out that I played you yet. And Martell just as simple and happy to be on camera. Yeah, definitely, yeah. He don't give a damn. I got me a scene. I'm going to get me a check. Yeah, anything you say. Mel says it was definitely a lot. When I got there, I spoke to Destiny and Kimmy. Martell said, really? Because Destiny said you didn't speak to her. Mel says, yeah, and I don't know why. I'm starting to think she just lies. So then she goes on about how, she followed me outside yelling about I didn't speak to her. And then I saw Wanda and I went over to Wanda, and you know me, I can be cool, calm, and collected and still say what I need to say to you. And she walked around the table. And I still was cool because, I ain't worried about a doggone thing. I know one thing you ain't worried about, the damn truth. So then Mel starts telling him how she started to do this. And I don't think she thought I was going to point back when I was talking to her. And of course they show the footage where she got her finger all in Wanda's face from the get-go. And, of course, we've seen the footage where she went up to the table and was raising pure hell after she started her live and told her she didn't come over here for this show enough nasty food, and I'm over here because you had a lot to say on the motherfucking internet. But that's cool, calm, and collected. This girl literally just told a version of this story that omits everything she's done. Mel is manipulative. It's like a Karen spirit. And then she starts trying to stroke Martell's ego and make him believe that they really are allies. And saying, and the next thing I know, you were over there going back and forth with Maurice. And so I came to stand behind you because I was thinking it's not just going to be Martell over there and it's Maurice and Marsau. What was you going to do in the middle of all them men? What were you going to do? Martell said, yeah, next thing I know, I felt somebody come running behind me and I was getting ready to hit somebody, but then they said it was Miss Wanda. And Mel said, yeah, and I appreciate you stepping in for me in that moment. Like, ain't nobody gonna hit Mel now. Martell said, yeah, no, because no matter what we've been through or what we go through, we still family. As long as we got those 4 kids, we still family. And I don't want no harm to come your way. I'm not gonna let nobody hurt you unless it's me. Mel said, and vice versa, period. So to further deflect from any accountability for the whole fight that she started, she starts talking about Maurice. And now we done gone from Destiny being the problem to Wanda being the problem to Maurice being the problem. And at no point is Mel a problem. She says, why is Maurice always jumping in to fight his brother's battles? What is that? Martell says, I don't know. I don't get it. That's his brother. That's what that is. Well, Mel is pushing this narrative because that was Marsau that was saying, let's do it right here, right now. That was Marsau, right? Martell said, I don't know. I don't even remember what happened. All I know is he was saying whatever when I was saying, if anybody is mentioning anything about kids, then it's about the kids. And he just couldn't agree with that. And my thing is, if y'all can't control Miss Wanda, then don't bring her around. The thing is, Miss Wanda was bothering no one. At what point is there acknowledgement for the fact that Mel has no self-control? And that if Mel had not shown up to this event, none of this would have happened. At what point do we acknowledge that? Or are we just going to pretend that Wanda just started spinning into a tornado on her damn own? The willingness to manipulate a narrative, knowing that we can see everything that happened on camera, speaks volumes about her character. Martell is going on and on about Wanda brings too much hostility. She goes below the belt. And anytime you talk about children, that's too much. And Mel says, I think Saturday was bound to happen. Yeah, because you went there with that intent. Of course, it was bound to happen. The way she sat there and pretended to be the victim when she was the unwelcome, uninvited, unexpected villain is beyond me. She said, I think it was bound to happen because you can't just keep on poking and I keep on ignoring you. She was talking about me online for about 3-4 months, ain't it? So you should have got your ass online and talked about her online. And then she goes on, I don't want anything to do with her. I don't want her around me. I don't want her in my space. Then why did you go into hers? So this lady can't go anywhere because you have the right to show up, create chaos, and then blame her for the problem that you made. Mel thinks that she can violate people, and then when they react and repel her, she becomes the victim. You can see Martell sitting there just letting her talk and looking off into the distance because he don't give a damn about what she's talking about. Girl, I don't care nothing about you beefing with Miss Wanda. You don't want her around. Child, I need a check. I'm just here for the scene. And Mel is in the confessional about how this has been a long time coming and she's tired of being attacked. But you do the attacking. Because let's have a conversation about how Miss Wanda entered the chat. Originally, when Wanda came on the scene, she was Tisha and Marsau's problem. She was literally over there at Tisha's house, all up in Tisha's business about what's going on with Tisha and Marsau. So she's over there trying to be the battery in Tisha's back when Marsau was coming home with vasectomies she didn't know nothing about and all kinds of other foolishness. The beef between she and Mel started when Mel was coming for Tisha's marriage. When Mel decided that she was going to expose and explode her own marriage, she decided, I'm going to tear Tisha's up too. Mel decides to say on camera that your husband be up at the bar cheating on you when Tisha would not comply. Bitch, I don't know nothing about that. I ain't never experienced infidelity in my life, in my marriage. When Tisha showed up with the Dr. Heavenly treatment, like y'all can go to hell. You tear your own marriage up. You won't tear mine up. And Tisha said, well, I don't know nothing about those speculations you're making about my marriage, but we know for a fact that your husband been cheating on you and he supposedly bought the girl a matching BMW. Here starts this battle. Wanda gets live on her Facebook page. She's making all her commentary about how she feels about her daughter on the show and the beefs that they got on the show and how if they beefing like that, I don't even want to turn playing with each other because I don't know what they're teaching their kids. I don't know if they'll get jealous and cut the hair. And that's where this whole she's talking about the kids thing started. Now, the thing is, even if Miss Wanda is going too far, she was on her Facebook page. This is off of the show. Y'all brought this to the show. This didn't have to be on this show. But the truth of the matter is, y'all don't have nothing going on. You ain't got no real storyline. So this is going to kill a few birds with one stone for you. You're going to try to get rid of Wanda. It's going to give you a storyline. It's going to get you back onto the camera and try to restore you to the center of the show, because that's your main issue. Mel's in the confessional saying, I don't want nothing to do with Wanda. If I see her on one side of the street, I'm crossing over to the other side. Well, why the hell didn't you do that in that parking lot? Why didn't you cross over to the side where your car was at and cross over to the side of town where your house was at? Why instead would you decide, I'm going to cross over into hell and just start all kinds of shit? Why didn't you cross the street that day? So now they're having this conversation about the original 6 coming together to be cordial. Child, please. Ain't no being cordial with me after you ran up on my mama. I don't care what happened. So when Martell brings up meeting with the group, Mel said, well, what you want to talk about, Wanda? He said, well, that's one of the things. And she goes, I think removing Wanda from the mix will help things really calm down. How, Sway? When y'all been broke down since the comeback group that never came back. How? I cannot take the deflection. It's the playing in my face. Like we didn't see this girl's contribution to everything that happened. Mel ends this conversation by saying that collectively they've gotten away from the original concept and the original goals. Well, who did that? Because the story that we were sold is that this show came on to be one thing, and everybody expected that the show was going in one direction, and that Mel went rogue and hijacked it with her storyline of this man is cheating on me. So who moved it from the original concept and original goals? So we move on to see Tiffany going to visit Stormy at her estate. They're going to bond over their love of dogs and animals and try to start this friendship over because they got off on the wrong foot. So soon as Tiffany gets there, Stormy's dog runs away. Stormy's husband got to go catch the dog from the neighbor's yard. And Tiffany said, well, if you out here talking to me and Courtney out here chasing the dog, who's in the house watching your baby? Stormy said he was in the house asleep. She had just put the baby to sleep, so he was fine. And Tiffany starts to talk about how adorable Stormy's baby is, and he's beautiful. And Stormy is saying that, she's just happy that she got to experience motherhood. She wants to do it again and carry a second baby, and then she wants to go with the surrogate route for her third. Tiffany said with her kids getting older, she's starting to feel some emptiness syndrome herself, but yeah, that ain't what I came here to talk to you about. I talked to Destiny. I heard some stuff went down at her event. What happened? So Stormy starts telling Tiffany, well, the whole thing was a shit show. Tiffany said, well, Destiny told me something about when Mel was done with her, she made a beeline to Wanda. Stormy said, done with her? What does that mean? What I saw was Destiny came out of the door and was yelling at Mel. And they were over there by Miss Wanda, but it wasn't any animosity. Even Tiffany, who wasn't there, looked like, girl, you are absolutely full of shit. And in the very next breath, she says, I don't know what kicked off the powwow, but I've never seen an older woman do what Miss Wanda did. She said Miss Wanda literally ran from behind a car and tried to hit Mel from the rear. Tiffany said, well, I don't understand how they could think this is okay. Stormy said, well, all I'm saying is can't nobody call me ratchet no more. Tiffany said, you know what? I was asking Destiny, how does she think this is gonna affect her reputation? Stormy looked like reputation. Stormy said, it's better than not being open. That was the most action her store's gotten in a while. So she should have took it and ran with it. So Stormy's in the confessional saying how I am a firm believer in turning a negative into a positive, and there's no such thing as bad press. And then she is just beside herself, falling out laughing about her store got more action than it ever does. I'm sorry. And I'm supposed to buy that Gucci stunt was really an effort to repair the friendship. It was absolutely a stunt because she's sitting in the confessional still shading the girl. As cute and as funny that they were tearing up this girl's event, but that's the most action she's ever gotten. You don't have nothing to say about your friend who came and started all this, but it's cute to laugh at her and talk about, well, she should have ran with it. Now, in the next breath, Stormy is asking Tiffany if she will be in a commercial that she's having for her hair care products. Now, Tiffany has beautiful hair, and she said that she's excited and she will absolutely participate in this commercial. So we move on and we see Martell going by Chris Fletcher's office because he said he's in the market to buy a home, and we know that that is Chris's business. So Chris is asking Martell how the kids and how's his relationship with Mel going, and he says, the kids are good. He's getting ready to go pick them up, and him and Mel are doing a lot better. She actually invited him to come with the family to Destin for the sake of the kids. Well, Chris peeped through the bullshit immediately. Chris said, did that have anything to do with that little coming together situation at Madani that everybody heard about? Yes, Chris. Yes, it did. It was when she was over there recruiting him for this mission that she invited him on that trip. That trip was the incentive to come be the minion on this mission. Chris said it sounded like it was Team Holt and Holt. Martell said, yeah, we had each other's back 100% because, Miss Wanda tried to hit her from the back. So you literally gonna start the story at the end. Chris looked just as confused, tried to hit her from the back. Well, what happened in the front? Martell said, and secondly, with Marsau's mouth, Marsau needs to chill out. Chris said, well, y'all had some potential business y'all were gonna do. So if you around here talking about Marsau needs to shut the hell up, where does that leave the business y'all are doing? Are y'all in a sticky spot now? Martell comes out and just says, yeah, no, me and Marsau are not going to be working together. And in the confessional, he says that he and Marsau did have a conversation to clear the air about what happened at Madani, but he's bothered that it happened, period. So now this whole comeback meeting that ain't a comeback meeting is supposed to be the central storyline. And Martell is telling Chris that they've proposed this idea for the original six to come together and try to work out their issues. Like, please play in somebody else's face. And so they wrap their meeting up with Martell saying he needs to start looking for a home soon because his lease is up in about 6 months. Chris said, well, you might want to wait till after that Destin trip because you might have a home after that. We'll see where he lands, somewhere between the shelter and the chateau. I don't give a damn. Moving on. So we move on and we see Stormy at her warehouse, and she's invited Destiny to come over and talk. And she's in the confessional saying how she invited her so that they can get on one accord and Destiny won't have to be the 10 man when she sees her. Let me tell you, I would never deal with Stormy again if I was Destiny. Because what you not going to do is play in my face and then get in these confessionals and laugh and talk about me. So they sit down to talk, and the first thing Stormy goes in on is the lady that Destiny sent outside to get the flowers. About, she came out and I just felt dismissed. She looking at me like... And I was thinking to myself, oh, she gonna hear this. I'm gonna say what I got to say. Destiny said, well, I can appreciate how you came because you at least tried to come correct and other people did not. And Destiny said she does have enough self-awareness to know that when she's upset, things don't always come out the right way. So she chooses to just not say anything. And she wasn't in a space to be receptive to Stormy being there. She said, and I felt like ain't no way in hell I'm wearing this purse. Stormy said, oh, really? Because that's the one thing you don't expect, especially when you're pulling a stunt that's intended to say, here's something you can't afford. You do not expect that the person to say, I don't want that shit. Now, to say Destiny doesn't want this purse because it's a pride thing, she literally turns around and throws her pride to the side and says, well, rather than a Gucci purse, I'd rather you bring me some of your products to put in my store. Girl, what? How do her products get into anybody else's store? Are they all coming to appeal to the owner and say, please grant me access to your products and services, please? Or is there some process that you're trying to avoid and circumvent? So Stormy starts explaining that basically, yeah, there is a process. She explains to Destiny that her dream had always been to be in retail. And at the time that Destiny reached out to her about getting her products, she was just starting to do business with a distributor. And the point of this distributor is she doesn't have to be involved in the process of providing her products to retailers. So the issue was that it was being taken out of her hands at the time that Destiny reached out to her, and it was not at the top of her mind. It wasn't a priority for her to deal with. So Destiny kind of just got lost in the sauce. So Stormy says to Destiny, going forward, I just don't want us to have any problems. Melody herself even said that you and I don't have beef for real. She said, I don't know what's going on between you and Mel, but I'm not the type of person to dislike somebody because someone else does. Now, if you and I have our own problems in the future, then that's one thing. But even Mel, who's our common friend, said we don't have an issue. Destiny said, I don't know nothing about no common nothing on that. No, ma'am. No, we don't have no common friend and Melody. And in the confessional, Destiny said, Stormy might think Mel is her friend, but I don't need her speaking for me. The girl just came to my event and didn't even speak, so I wouldn't say that's moving in the right direction. Stormy is saying to Destiny, well, I don't even really understand why you and Mel got into an argument. And Destiny is saying, well, she came in and didn't speak, and then she left out and didn't speak, knowing that we're in a bad place. The difference is with you at least came in knowing we were in an awkward place and acknowledged that. Stormy said, well, for me, if somebody come in and don't speak, I go speak to them. Hey, Destiny said, I'm not there yet. God is still working on me. Child, and I hope so. Destiny said it was pretty much a buildup because you had just came uninvited. And then she showed up right behind you, uninvited, and didn't speak. And then the whole Miss Wanda thing, she said it wasn't necessary for her to do that at my business. Stormy's response is, but I saw Miss Wanda try to come hit Mel from the back. And then Stormy says in the confessional that even after listening to Destiny tell her side of the story, she still fails to see where the issue is between her and Mel. So you don't see anything wrong with how Mel conducted herself. You don't see anything wrong with her coming in and barely speaking to this girl. You don't see anything wrong with y'all standing up in the middle of her shop that y'all refuse to support and talking about her like a dog. You don't see anything wrong with her going to Miss Wanda and actually starting this fight. You don't see nothing wrong with none of that. But when Wanda reacts, then we got a problem. No, the failure is in wanting to understand. You're committed to misunderstanding her. She feels like it was crazy for Destiny to wait till Mel was leaving and yell at her, which is true. But why don't you think anything your friend did is crazy too? So Stormy then brings up that she wants to get the whole group together, and Destiny looks like she is just gonna lose it because ain't nobody about to do this with y'all. Destiny said, look, in order for you and I to be good, we should probably work on you and I and leave Melody and I alone. Stormy looked like I don't have approval to do that. I don't know if I have permission to be friends with you on my own. Stormy starts, well, if we keep doing the same thing, we're going to stay in the same place. And we've got to get to the bottom of why there's always a breakdown that happens. Destiny said, what you doing right here is exactly why there's always a breakdown. Because we keep trying to put people together who don't need to be together. So Stormy continues to push the issue about, would you be willing to get together and sit down and talk with Mel? What are you, her agent? She said Jesus himself would have to accompany me to that. I don't know about that. Stormy said, well, I think it can happen. Destiny said, no, I'm Gucci. No pun intended. So we move on to the final segment of the episode, which is Tisha and Marsau at Black. Marsau is behind the bar about to tear up all the dishes, pretending that he knows what he's doing, trying to make Tisha a drink, and they are visited by Funky Dineva. So Marsau is in the confessional saying how he and Funky Dineva have developed a mutual respect for each other over the years. At one point, I think Funky Dineva was an ambassador for their chocolate in a bottle and things of that nature. So Marsau said he appreciates the insight he offers into their lives. Tisha said she ain't quite too sure why he's here. She's a little bit nervous about it. So they break the ice talking about how Funky Dineva hasn't been in Huntsville since he's been about 14 years old and he's 38 now. The city has changed and grown a lot, but it's still podunk country compared to Miami where he's from. So Marsau fixes him a drink and Funky says, well, I left my wallet in the car, right? I ain't gonna be able to pay you for this drink here. Marsau said, well, as much as he's done for me, I don't mind giving him a drink for free. And Tisha is kind of surprised at this friendship. And she said, y'all just seem to have a whole new friendship. And Funky Dineva starts to talk about the dynamic of straight men being friends with openly gay men. And that a lot of the times straight men are not as receptive to openly gay men and they feel a need to overstate their masculinity. And Marsau is saying, well, those are typically the people who are struggling with their own identity, which is absolutely true. But I don't think that's really the reason why Tisha is surprised that all of a sudden y'all have this respect for each other, it's because there was a time when they did not get along. So I think that's what Tisha is referring to when she talks about her surprise. Marsau said that need to over display masculinity can be toxic. And he's here to show you that you can be toxic without being homophobic. What a noble mission. So then he gets into what he was brought there for. He starts asking Marsau, what's been going on in Huntsville? And Marsau said, nothing. It's been real chill because, they deny everything around his house. Funky Dineva said, well, that ain't what I heard. I heard y'all around here doing the jailhouse rock. I was on social media minding my business like I do. And I had come across some videos of y'all fighting and tussling and carrying on in the street. I saw males screaming by my tail. Tisha, they say you was all up in it. They say your messy ass mama was in it. Let me tell you something. That's where this conversation was gonna go left. Okay, that's what we not gonna do. Tisha starts telling him the story. Tisha says, well, I was inside, so I don't understand how this all happened. But the parts that I do know is my mom was outside, getting her stuff set up. And Mel went outside to my mom to confront her about the live that she did. So Marsau starts explaining that Mel and Wanda were outside. They're confronting each other. Martell steps in to hold Mel back. Tisha steps in to hold Wanda back. And I'm like, Tisha, separate. And Funky Dineva starts saying, and that's what women don't understand. Y'all put men in dangerous situations when y'all get to doing that catty BS and arguing and carrying on. Why are they having this conversation with Tisha when Tisha was literally the main one trying to diffuse the matter? Why is this conversation being had with Tisha when Tisha is not the one who ambushed anybody with catty BS? I don't understand. So as soon as he says this, Marsau was in the confessional saying, I think we need to call Dr. Francis and tell him we no longer need his services. Tisha said, why? Because we going to Dr. Funky now? He said, yeah, well, in a crazy kind of way, he kind of thinks like a man and a woman. Marsau adds stupid to your toxic. So Funky Dineva says to Tisha, from the outside looking in, it looks like your mom fights a lot of your battles. And it looks like you're complicit because you're silent. Tisha said, I get that that's what it looks like, but that's not what it is. I'm just not the type of person that likes to argue. I don't fuss and fight. I don't talk loud. I'm going to make my point without really carrying on. Whereas my mom is not like that. Tisha said, I'm very direct when I talk to my mother, but she just doesn't listen. I've told her on multiple occasions, I don't need you to handle the situation for me. I've got it. But because I don't handle it the way she thinks it should be handled, she steps in to handle it for me. So Funky Dineva says, well, because it's causing you so many problems in your personal life, at what point do you say, well, Mom, you can't come around anymore? Now, here's my thing. If we're talking about her personal life in terms of these friendships with Mel and the likes, that had issues before Wanda got into the picture. In terms of her marriage, Marsau around there telling the girl to shut the hell up and do as I say, not as I do. I could fight in the street and carry on, but you bet not open your damn mouth when they about to whoop your mama ass. Marsau has no respect for his wife, and the reason he wants Wanda gone is because he wants 100% control. Tisha's literally sitting there thinking through what he just asked her. And Marsau said, I know you better not agree with him after I done said it 1,000 times. And Tisha says, well, to me, it's a respect thing. Funky Dineva said to Tisha, you can't be blinded by that old Southern. Honor thy mother and cherish thy father. Tisha said, but that's how I was raised. He said, yeah, but every way that we were raised wasn't right. What? He says because we're educated and it's 2022, it's time for us to chew the meat and spit out the bones. We take the parts of our upbringing that was right and reject the parts that wasn't. Tisha says, so tell me what advice you would give me because I'm not with my mom 24/7. I can't control her. He says, tell your mama to shut the hell up and stay out your business. Tisha said, and when she keeps going, he said, when she keeps going, there's consequences. You tell her, Mom, if you keep doing it, you can't come around here no more. You can choose to not be in a relationship with somebody's parent, but to go and advise them to disrespect their parent, that's you would use your opportunity to advise this person and your influence to perpetuate the message that we are educated and we should allow our education to cause us to abandon our upbringing because we don't need those commandments anymore. No one who has a healthy relationship with their parents thinks it's normal, healthy, or okay to tell an individual, much less the masses, to go tell your mama to shut the hell up and stay out your business. Now, let me be very, very clear. I am not defending elders being disrespectful, overbearing, or overstepping. That's not what I'm defending. And I'm not saying that you can't respectfully correct a parent when you do have an issue. Because you can say, Mom, you're doing too much. Okay, all right. Now, you ain't got to tell you, shut the hell up. Do not think that I confuse or conflate abuse with respect, because I don't. I'm not talking about people just being able to talk to you any kind of way because they're older than you and you just got to bow down and take. That's not what I'm talking about. And it's not what the commandment is talking about either. As a matter of fact, God don't need your correction or misdirection because it's already laid out in the infrastructure. There are checks and balances for everything. Because if you read anything other than the lines you want to reject, you would see that there's a line somewhere in about Ephesians 6:4, and there's a line somewhere about Colossians 3:21 that instructs parents to not provoke their children to wrath. Now it's 2022 and you educated and you smart. But God had figured this out long time ago. It's not that elders don't have to give any respect back. Being an elder comes with its own set of rights and responsibilities. So I'm not saying that anyone has pass or permission to be disrespectful to anyone at any stage of life. But I don't care what your religion, culture, creed is, and just about every civilization known to man, respecting your parents and elders is a basic function of their society. Now, the commandments, these are the basic guidelines for being a civilized society. If we gonna abandon them, all right, and we gonna start by abandoning the only one that got a promise attached to it, honor thy mother and thy father so that thy days may be long upon the land. We gonna tell people in 2022, when people days is already not long on the land, we gonna tell them to go ahead and abandon that commandment. So if we abandon that one, are we abandoning the one come right behind it? Because the next one is thou shalt not take nobody out. So is that the next step? Is we can just abandon that too? Now I know you educated and you smart, but I'm just trying to figure out if you thought through to that part yet. I'm just trying to see if your plan has checks and balances before we just go ahead and throw it all away. And then I'm trying to figure out how you plan to fly up in God's face. Do you plan to just say, hey, these them commandments you had give us a long time ago. That's 2022 now. We got degrees. We don't need that. Go ahead. Beyond that, it's not a well thought out abandonment. It's also irresponsible. It's irresponsible to use your influence to further perpetuate and promote the very line of thinking that has torn our village down. There is no hierarchy. There is no respect. And your best advice as a Black man with influence is, it is time for us to abandon the way that we were brought up, because it is outdated thinking and we are educated now. It is irresponsible to promote and perpetuate the idea that we should evolve into a uncivilized people, because that's what you become when you just abandon the basic guidelines of humanity. I almost lost it watching this conversation. I am not about to sit here and pretend like this is some intellectual line of thinking. It's not. In this entire conversation with Tisha, where she is being advised to abandon all her upbringing and go tell her mama to shut the hell up, there's been not one mention of any accountability that belongs to the party that actually started this mess. It's just, we gonna make your mama responsible. We gonna act like that girl ain't did nothing. Your mama gonna be the villain. Tisha's gonna have to find herself. Tisha's gonna have to find her strength. And Tisha is going to have to stand up. It is wild to me watching this whole agenda. And Marsau is so manipulative that he will participate in this if it will give him the free reign that he wants at home. Now that's it. That's all. And I ain't got no more. Thank you so much for coming down here, listening to me, and letting me get this off my chest. As always, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And in the meantime, until next time, just like every time, I love you and I mean it. Bye.